This is a Dataiku case study, from days to minutes, AI-powered drug safety agent with Dataiku. Meet Dr. Eiko Tanaka, a pharmacovigilance scientist at a global biopharma company monitoring drug safety signals and profiles, particularly for skin reactions and severe asthma. Eiko faces constant struggle. Extracting and processing public drug safety data takes days and requires IT support. She spends hours searching research portals for relevant literature on every potential safety signal, and inconsistencies in data make it hard to detect signals in at-risk populations before it's too late. What if I told you that there is a better way, a way to transform pharmacovigilance from a days-long manual process into minutes of intelligent automation? Here is the Dataiku pharmacovigilance solution, an easy-to-set-up project for pharmacovigilance analysis and signal exploration. It provides instant disproportionality metrics and scientific evidence verification and automatically generates drug safety reports. Let's dive into the demo of this solution in the Dataiku platform. Eiko wants to investigate safety signals for some drugs of interest from some public data in 2025. To set up her analysis, Eiko starts from the project setup. A Dataiku application for drug safety signals in spontaneous reporting systems is created. This is her workspace, clean, intuitive, and built specifically for pharmacovigilance workflows. First, she needs to query data from FDA FHIR's database. Instead of submitting an IT ticket or asking a data scientist to write an SQL query, Eiko simply selects the year and the quarter to explore the most recent data from January through March. Behind the scenes, Dataiku is connecting to FHIRs and retrieves and processes different data sets about medication that includes all the drugs and the doses taken, demographics that include information about the person who submitted the report, reactions, which are the adverse effects, and outcomes like hospitalization or death. Next critical part is defining her population cohort. She filters for reports from France, Japan, Canada, and the United States, major markets with significant presence in pharmacovigilance. She includes reports from consumers, health professionals, and physicians, and focuses on adults and older patients aged 35 and above. And these are populations most likely to have skin-related side effects. She also excludes COVID-19 related events to reduce noise in this signal detection. The pandemic created a surge in respiratory reports that could confound the analysis. This analysis that is applied to the data for detecting adverse drug reaction is based on statistical methods, and Eiko can further modify the search space for the most frequent events and also specific drugs of her interest. With her cohort defined, Eiko clicks Run Analysis, and a scenario is triggered to build the data pipeline and the Dataiku flow that we will explore a little later. What used to take Eiko days to set up now takes minutes. Let's see what she finds. The dashboard loads instantly, giving Eiko a complete picture of the safety landscape. Let's look at what we're working with. There are more than 400,000 unique FHIRs records from Q1 2025. The data include more than 9,000 safety reports, more than 3,000 drugs from 400 manufacturers. The report submission over time shows a dramatic spike at the beginning of 2024. And yes, these data are analyzed in 2025, but the events and the incidents happened before that. That could indicate an increase in reporting, maybe a media coverage for the side effects of a specific drug, or a genuine safety concern. And this is the kind of pattern Eiko needs to investigate. Now, regarding the different adverse events, there is common events as like vomiting, headache, and diarrhea, but also, a lot of drugs are categorized as off-label use or misuse of product dosing. Now, the outcome breakdown shows that while many events are classified as other serious, there is still a significant portion involving hospitalization, which it indicates that a prevention is needed for permanent damage and even death. And this serious outcome demand immediate action. Now, ICO wants to explore insights and understand the potential signals from the cohort population she created between these side effects and all the different drugs. In this dashboard, we see the results of the disproportionality analysis. This is a common approach for screening spontaneously reported data and detecting potential signals between drugs and adverse events for further investigation. Dataiku calculates 3 standard statistical metrics: reporting out ratio, compare the odds of the adverse event with a specific drug versus all the other drugs; the proportional reporting ratio that measures relative frequency; and the empirical Bayes geometric mean that uses sophisticated Bayesian methods for more robust signal detection. This heat map visualizes signal strength across multiple drugs and adverse events. The darker the color, it indicates the higher the metric value is, and the stronger a potential signal is between a drug and an adverse effect. Now, when we talk about signals, what we mean is that if the ratio between the drug and an adverse event exceeds a threshold, then this is a warning, and it can be a potential signal for further investigation. This signals table makes prioritization simple. Green means that signal is within the expected range, while red means that there is an error warning and it should take further investigation for understanding why there is a warning here. Now, to further explore independent individual drugs, we can select Dupixent, for example. This is a prescription medication that is used to treat severe inflammatory conditions such as eczema and asthma. Severe itching, which is pruritus, here that is not is actually okay. It's not a warning. It's common and it is well known as well. But then there is other events as arthralgia, for example, that is a pain in the joints that is more rare to be presented with Dupixent. So this is certainly worth further investigation. But how does all this analysis actually work, and what happened under the hood? So here is the Dataiku flow that powers everything ICO just saw. From left, we have the input data files where we query the data from FHIR's adverse events. Yellow zones is a lot of data cleaning and pre-processing, data analytics and statistics where we do the modeling, and then visualizations, preparing the data for those dashboards and building some generative AI tools that will feed into a dashboard in a chatbot that we will explore later. A critical pre-processing step, for example, is deduplication. In the voluntary self-reporting system, it is very common to have duplicates of the same incident that was submitted by the patient, by the doctor, by a lawyer maybe, and suddenly one case looks like 3 that can actually inflate the frequency and turn non-signals into false alarms between a drug and a side effect. So this recipe sets some conditions and remove all those extra duplications. Also, you remember earlier when ICO selected some filters in the application setup. Here is where those filters are implemented actually dynamically as Dataiku project variables. So when ICO or another user changes the filter in the application, then this recipe automatically adjusts and the entire analysis reruns with new parameters. There is a good mix of visual recipes and also code recipes in this flow. And in these Python recipes where signal detection happens, we calculate different frequencies. For example, how many times does each drug event pair occur? And each drug also occurs with all the other events. And these are the building blocks of disproportionality analysis. The flow generates also multiple outputs, I would say, such as the individual reports filtered based on ICO's preferences to create the cohort with all the demographics, and also the final disproportionality statistics data set that for every pair of drug and adverse event, it generates statistical metrics and also set something to be a warning or okay and flags it as 0 or 1. And all this fits directly into the dashboard. So we have seen a nice user experience, clean application interface, and the automated workflow. ICO still faces some challenges because even when she detects through the visual dashboards a potential signal between a drug and an adverse effect, she still needs to do some scientific verification. She needs to go and find public papers from research or from private research and verify the results. But also she needs to put all of this into some regulatory reports and build those for the reporting and for those reports for the investigation team. And that takes a lot of time. So what if I told you that now ICO has an expert teammate who could access all this data that we just analyzed and help her to respond some questions, explore, and also build those reports. So Mixed ICO AI Assistant, the pharmacovigilance agent built on Dataiku's Agent Hub. This isn't a generic chatbot that searches the web and hallucinates answers. This agent has been purposely built for pharmacovigilance and has direct access to the underlying flow, including the knowledge bank, the scientific papers, the data sets, and it also understands pharmacovigilance concepts, not just keywords. Let me show you a real conversation ICO had with the agent while investigating Dupixent. Let's start by how many records we have in our underlying analysis. The agent instantly queries the correct data set and responds with the right number that is verified from our dashboard. Under the hood, the agent applied an SQL query, but ICO does not need to do any of that or remember the table names. All she needs to do is to ask. She also wants to know about the age distribution. The agent calculates percentage, provides an interpretation that nearly 65% of all the reports actually come from patients that are 50 or older, and that is like the original data before any processing. From which countries we have many reports. Now it seems that the agent lists all the 10 countries, again indicating that most of the reports come from the US with some explanation. And then ICO wants to focus on the disproportionality metrics and the drug safety analysis. What drugs are we focusing on in our statistical analysis? And these are like the drugs that ICO selected earlier. The agent lists all the 9 drugs that we filter within our cohorts and indicates that Dupixent has actually the most occurrences with different side effects. ICO isn't just navigating menus or writing queries, she's actually having conversation. Now, ICO wants to understand a little more about Dupixent and go a little further into her analysis. She asks the agent for a general summary. And the agent provides a comprehensive overview of the mechanism of action, approved indications, administration details, and common side effects and safety considerations. She further asks about statistical signal that we have detected in the underlying analysis between Dupixent and the different adverse effects. And the agent lists multiple adverse events with the different metrics that exist in the analysis, most of which appear common. But for example, arthralgia, which is a pain in the joints, as we mentioned earlier, it seems to be a rare event. And this is where actually the agent can help her to go a few miles further. ICO wants to see the metrics between arthralgia and the drug Dupixent. And also she's asking the agent to interpret those metrics because truth is that those statistical metrics are not intuitive for a lot of people. So the agent gives some interpretation that all 3 metrics suggest positive association. They represent a moderate signal. Arthralgia is reported approximately 1.7 times more with Dupixent rather than other drugs, and also give a warning that this is a statistical association, but does not establish causation as such between the drug and the adverse event. ICO wants to know, about the research justification and evidences, if there are any case studies of Dupixent and of arthralgia from the internal database. So the agent searches the knowledge bank and finds multiple case reports with timeline information suggesting that most cases occur within the first 4 months of treatment, with citation also to the different papers. Now it comes the moment that changes everything. ICO wants to generate a pharmacovigilance investigation report for the drug and safety investigation team. She specifically wants to see some general drug information, subpopulation analysis, the different statistical metrics between Dupixent and arthralgia, and also the scientific evidences that we already queried above. Now, the agent generates a complete production-ready investigation report with all the sections filled from data and research papers from this pharmacovigilance analysis. Now, the agent generates this report, but also send it to the medical review team. It is formatted correctly, properly cited, synthesized, some valid information from multiple sources, and interprets as well the different statistics in clinical language, and makes some strategic recommendations at the end. So what is important here? What used to take ICO 2 to 3 days, querying data, searching literature, running statistical analysis, writing it all up, just happened in a few minutes. The impact of Dataiku's pharmacovigilance solution is measurable by reducing the time from data to decision, eliminate duplicating reports, creating audit-ready workflows and full data lineage, and scaling these across every drug in ICO's portfolio, not just priority products. If you want to learn more about this solution, reach out to the business solution team in Dataiku.